I'll do first, great. So what I'll do first is share with you how Google Drive looks and how it works. To get to Google Drive, I'll click on my Gmail here. And what you need to do is go over here to these ellipses where it says Google Apps. And if you click on that, it opens up a whole menu of things that you can get to. So here's your Gmail, which you're already in. Here's the Google Drive, that's the pyramid. Your Google Calendar, which I highly suggest that you use for keeping track of your assignments or when things are due, maybe even when your instructor has office hours, so that they'll pop up on, you can allow notifications and they'll pop up when you're on your Gmail. And then Docs is like Word, Sheets is Excel, Slides is PowerPoint. And then you've got some other things that you can use in here too, like Google Chat, which is a way to kind of like an immediate chat, an IM, an immediate message with other students, your faculty members, people on campus. You can meet that way too. But we have gone into Google Drive, and when you click on that, then it takes you to this, which is the Google Drive. The Google Drive really is just a cloud where you can keep information. I like to think of it, I'm a very visual learner, so I think of it as a great big file cabinet up in the sky where I can keep information and I can draw from it if I need to. I can edit up in the cloud, or I can download things, work on it, and then re-upload it to the cloud. But the really nice thing about Google Drive is that if I don't have my computer with me, as long as I saved it on my drive, I can get it from any computer. So if you are not around your PC that you normally have, but you have it on your Google Drive, you can work on it anywhere. You can also work on it offline as well. So if you put something in the offline mode, then you can work on it if you don't have internet access. You can download these apps on your phone too, where you can download Gmail, you can download the Google Drive, things like that. It's really hard, obviously, to see on your phone, but it is possible. But you can use it on your iPad, your laptop, your Chromebook, whatever. So up at the top here, we'll just start at the top. It has the search in Drive. And if you know the name of the document you're looking for, you can click right on it. But there is also a little arrow here where you can do search options. And when you click down on that, if you don't know the name of it, then you at least, but you know who sent it to you, you can do it by owner, by type, if you had accidentally put it in your trash. If you start it, starring it is just making sure that it's got like a little tab next to it that are things that you work on often. And I'll show you how cool that is. If you know the item name has the words in it, or if you shared it with someone. So the search function is quite robust. I like it a lot because I can't always remember what Yanni called something. And so I'll have to do it the other way by just looking for her name. Over on the right-hand side, there's also a couple of different buttons as well. There's a support function, and it's actually quite good. So if you have questions about how to do something, Google has done a really nice job of trying to answer it for you. The settings that are here, there are settings for Google Drive and keyboard shortcuts if you are really into that. And then here's that ellipsis again. Here's all the Google apps. And if you click on that, it'll take you back to the thing that you want to go to. I don't usually use the ellipsis in Google Drive because over on the left-hand sidebar is basically these things, just in a little better fashion inside the drive itself. So over here on the left-hand side, you've got a small bar of information. And I'm not gonna start with the new quite yet. We're gonna jump down here to priority. Google Drive will try to anticipate what it is that you're working on every day. It tries to do a good job with that. So it'll put things in priority. It'll say, you've been in these documents quite a bit. Are these the ones that you want to work on? So that can be very helpful. And then it will also do what's called creating workspaces. And this is new. This is things that you can work on with other people or projects that you want to put together. So like this would work really well if you were working on a class and you just wanted everything to be in a workspace. So files will automatically go in here if it notices that you're doing something. So I left this one here to show you that I work with Sean Hunter a lot here on campus, and he is shared in all of these documents right here. And so this is saying, here's a suggested workspace that you have in collaboration with one of your coworkers or with you guys. Maybe it's a group of students that you're working with Do you want to save that? And if I do, then it will pop over here and it will call it a special project with Sean Hunter. So that's one way of being able to do that. Or I can say like, nope, these are just things that we work on every day, and I can dismiss it and then it will go away. So the next one is the drive, and this is the one that you'll probably use the most of. Your drive is where it's like your own personal file cabinet. And at the top, it'll have, again, quick access. And these are things that I'm in multiple times of the day. And so you'll see when you start using it as a student, you'll start to see your documents that you use in your classes. You'll see them up there in the quick access. And that's really cool that it does that, so you don't have to go searching for it. But then you can create folders inside your file cabinet, right? And here's all my folders. And then there are documents that are below here that you can see. And all of these documents just aren't in folders. They're just loose pieces of paper on my desk. Think of it that way. These are just loose items. Now, I might be able to go through them and start putting them into folders. And every once in a while, I do that when I have a few free extra moments. Or I might delete them altogether and say like, no, I don't, that was a project that I was working on. I'm not the owner of it anymore. I can delete it as long as it's not shared, or I'm not the owner of that piece. When you'll see a little arrow right here for My Drive. And when you click on that little arrow, it's going to open up. Here's all these folders that you see right here. They're just listed out. And then there is another arrow here that will say you can click on any of those and it will show you what's inside them. Instead of having to click on the actual folder, I could actually click here on Idaho Opportunity Scholarship and it would open up. Here's all of the documents inside. This one doesn't happen to have any right now, but it would. Here, I'll use this one. I know this one has some stuff. Or it doesn't. Maybe it's just slow. You'll also, and then you can get rid of that so that it's a little bit cleaner. I like it to be nice and clean on my side since I can see it on the right side here. Now, each of these documents that you might click on, like this one right here, which is Idaho's top private companies. I have that right here. It's just a download that I took from a website and was able to make it into a picture so that I can keep track of it. It'll give you the details over here on the side. As you click on a document, you'll have these other options up here at the top. The eye right here, you can hide the details so it makes it larger, or you can bring them back up by clicking on it. This icon right here will actually get me a link that I can use, then copy and paste into a different document if I wanted to include this. This one, I could share it with somebody. I just need to know what their email address is. This allows me to preview the document so it just pops up so you can see it a little bit better, see it a little bit larger. I can delete it altogether, just remove it and put it into trash, or there's more actions here and we'll go through those as we go through each document. Hold on one second, let me just mute you all while I give. Okay. Then you have what's called a shared drive. Now, shared drive is really new for Google Drive. There's good and bad things about shared drives. Shared drives, you cannot transfer them to another person. So if you wanted to give ownership of a shared drive to somebody else, it makes it really difficult to do that. The other part about shared drives is that documents inside a shared drive cannot be shared with your own personal drive. They have to live where you put them. So think of them as like permanent files that are out there. The nice part about it is if you can see, you can name them whatever you want to name them, and then you can share them with different groups. Works really great for Yanni and I when we're working on a similar project together. We can throw everything into a shared drive, and then we can collaborate together. The hard part is that I can't take those things out, work on them myself, and then re-upload them into shared drive. They truly are a shared drive for everybody. You can share them out like in emails and things like that, but all that does is it adds more people to your shared drive. So you can see like in this one here, there's 131 people that have access to this. So shared drives are good, but they're not always easier to work with. You can certainly go back to your My Drive and I can share, you'll see like a little person here on the UPSIA folder. Now that APSIA folder, Yanni is shared with that folder. So she and I are working on that together. You've also got a bar over here, an item that says shared with me. And these will tell you, again, quick access. Here's all of the things that have been shared with me over the last couple of days and when I've edited them. And then down below here, it breaks it down. You can choose how you want to see it. You can reverse the sort direction. You can share data if you want to. But this right here will tell you, here's all the things that we've been working on that have been shared with me. So it's just another nice way of being able to find something that you might be looking for. I also use this one a lot, which is just recent. Recent are just documents that I've opened recently. And I use this a lot because, like I said, I don't always remember what somebody has called or what I have called a document. Let's be honest, even me titling them can be a little bit crazy. So this works really well for me to say, gosh, I know I just looked at that. And so let me pop in, and it's a little easier to see that. As you can see, just today, I was in the Google Drive workshop, which is my agenda. This is probably the coolest function. And this is the thing that I like the most. It's starred. These are all documents that I use on a pretty regular basis. And so I think of it as little post-it note, a little tab that you've put on certain documents because they are important to you because you use them a lot. Now, when you go to create a document, at the very top, it will have like the name of the document and then a hollowed out star. And if you click on the star, it will automatically put it into this folder. But it can also be placed in another folder somewhere else. It's just a tab that helps you know that this is important, this is what I'm working on. And you can add or take away stars depending on if they're important to you. So I do go through this quite a bit to take off important documents. If I'm not working on that project anymore or it's done, I might remove a star because this can get, as you can see, very big, very quick. And I don't use all those all the time. And then here's your trash. So there's lots of items in my trash right here. And this is important. Items in your trash, they will be deleted forever after 30 days. You can pull them back out. I can pull this one back out if I want to, and it will put it back into my drive. But once the 30 days are up, it won't. All right, I'm going to pause for questions. Yanni, any questions in the box?
No questions yet.
Okay. All right, here we go then. This button up here at the top is probably the most fun because this is how you get into all the good stuff. This new is going to bring up a series of actions. We can create new folders. We can upload a file from somewhere else into just our drive. Remember, we've got just random files, or we can upload them into a folder. I can upload actually a full folder from somewhere else. I can upload that, or I can create at this time too. I can create a Google Doc, which remember is it's kind of like the sister to Word, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Forms, and there's even more. If you click here, you'll see all these other options down here. Most of your courses that you're going to be taking with Boise State will probably function around Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. That's probably what you'll see more than anything that you'll be creating yourself. Let's go into a folder first. When you go to create a folder, it just allows you to name it whatever you'd like. So we're going to name this one 2021 Google Drive Workshop. And when I create it, you'll see that it'll be created right here under my folders. I'm still in my drive, and here it is with my folder right here. And if I click on it, there won't be anything inside here. Nothing inside because I haven't created anything. Now, some departments that you belong to, some majors that you belong to, or courses that you might be in, the faculty member will actually create a folder for you and share it with you, and all of their stuff will be in there for you to access. And you can make copies of those documents if you want to. You can download those documents if you want to. Sometimes they'll even have you participate inside the documents. But remember, it's all up in the cloud. And that's kind of the cool part about being able to use this. If we go back to my drive and click on the new button again, it'll also have a file upload. Now I have created a file that's just a pretend thesis paper that I saved to my desktop, which that sounds pretty normal for students. Like you've been working on something and you've saved it to your desktop. So if I click on File Upload, then it's going to bring up what would you like to look at. These are all my downloads. But if I go to my desktop right here, here is my 2021 Google Drive Workshop Word document. And I created this in Word, and you can see that it says docx. So if I click on that and I click Open, it's uploading right now. We hope. There it is. And if I go to recent, here is my thesis page, and it's going to open it as if it's a Google Doc, not as a Word, but as a Google Doc. So cute. Here's my paper on otters. So you can see here that now it's inside Docs. That's where it is. Now, how do I get that to go inside the folder that I want it to go into? Here's the part where it's kind of fun. Now that I'm working in the cloud, it says that here's the star function. If I star that, and then I go and back to my Google Drive and I click on starred, there's my otter paper. It's in starred now. If I don't want it in starred anymore, then I can go back to the workshop and I can remove the star. And if I go back to starred and refresh, it's not there anymore. But we love it, so let's put it in there. This folder right here allows you to move it from where it is and where it's housed on your Google Drive, and it allows you to move it wherever you want it to go. So right now it's just in my drive. So if we go back to my Google Drive, just so that you can see it, and I click on my drive, then I would be able to search for it, and it's somewhere here in my drive. Now right here allows us to put it into our Google Drive workshop. So if I click in here, it's not there, but I want to put it there. So if I go back to my Google Drive workshop paper and I click on the move, I could click here and move, go back to my Google Drive workshop, refresh, and there it is. Now I can work inside of this document anytime I want to. So I'm going to close this one up here. I can work inside this document all I want to. I can change the title, the subtitle, and that's all live. That's all really happening right now. But let's say that Yanni is my is the teacher's assistant, and one of the assignments in the module this week is to send it to the teacher assistant so they can review it to make sure that it's right. I can click on the share button over here, and I can type in Yanni's name. There she is. And I can say she's an editor because I want her to be able to make comments on it, or I can just have her view, or she can just make comments, whatever she wants to do. If you give somebody editor access inside of this, it means that they can change your document. A commenter is only allowed to put comments on the side, and a viewer, of course, is only allowed to view it. So I can send her a message in here saying, ready for check. And she can check it for me. And when I send it to her, off it goes. And now when she looks in her email, she'll see that she's got an email from me saying that just what that said, it's ready for a check. And when she goes inside of that document, her little face will show up right here in a round circle. And I can always see who it's shared with, and I can click on it, and then I can even remove her if I want to. So that's kind of cool. All right. So we're going back now to our Google Drive workshop. We've got our folder inside of there, and we're ready to move on to the next item. The folder upload here allows us to enter in any of the folders that I might have on my desktop, in a download that I might have, things like that. And I feel like we do less with folder uploads than we do with actual file uploads. A folder will actually like do a zip file all the way to your file folder. And so you see less of that just in day-to-day work. If I wanted to add another Google Doc to this, perhaps I want to create just inside the Google Drive, I can do that. And so when you click on Google Docs, it's going to bring up just an untitled document for you to be able to add anything you want to. So that's kind of a neat thing too. You can write your papers in here, all that kind of stuff. The interesting thing about Google Drive, and especially with the Word document that we have, is that if I take this and go to File, it allows me to download this, and I can download it as a Word document. I can download it as an actual PDF, meaning that it cannot be edited again. It can, you can do what you need to do. But if I download it as a Word document, it will download it down here for me. Now this document here is no longer in the cloud. This is now on my desktop. It is live for me to be able to edit. So I can put, I'll bring this over so you can see it. Here it is right here. It is just probably something that you're used to seeing, right? So can everyone see my screen share? Okay, so it's no longer up in the drive. It's no longer up in the cloud. Now it's just on my computer. And if I go back to Google Drive, this document is not there because it's offline. Think about that kind of that way. It's offline. But I certainly can save it, and we'll put in here final edit, and I can save it to my desktop. We'll save it to my desktop really quick. We'll call it Google Drive Word. We'll save it. I'll go back to my Google Drive. And if you'll look here, this is what we were working on. See the words final edit are not there. It's not there at all. So instead, what we're going to do, here's my Google Drive Word. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to new, and I'm going to do a file upload. Here was the one that I just edited, and open. And so I've made changes to it, and now here it is. And if I click on this one, it'll say final edit. There it is. I took it from my desktop, I worked on it, and then I uploaded it. And that's probably one of the biggest confusions that we get from students is how do these things work together? How come I can edit someplace and it shows up, and then I edit other places and it doesn't? And it's because anytime you download something from the cloud, doesn't mean that it's live. It just means that you've taken it out of the cloud, you've worked on it. Just don't forget to upload it back up again so that you can work on it. So this one right here has nothing on it. These are now two separate documents. So if I were to accidentally submit this one to my professor, even though I've been working on this one, which is done, the professor can look at it and say, it's a blank document. There's nothing on it. You're like, oh, how did I do that? So just make sure that if you're going to do that, you either rename it or you just get rid of it altogether. And you can do that by left clicking on the Google Drive, the old one. And you can make sure you can preview it to make sure that it's not the one you wanted. You can open it with Google Docs if you want to. There's all of these options in here, but what we're going to do with this one is we're just going to remove it because it's not the one that we want to use. This is the one we want to use. You guys are going to find, I think, in a lot of your work that you're doing that you'll need to create a link to it so that you can put it onto Blackboard and submit the assignment. So the way that you do that is you just click, you get link, and it's going to bring up this little document that'll say you can copy the link right here. And when you copy that, it just copies it just like it would like a copy and paste on Word. And then you can take that link and you can put it into your Blackboard assignment. You can always rename it after you get to Blackboard. You can always do that. So that's how you do that. It's the same thing with a Google Sheet. So if we were to open up a Google Sheet, that's going to look like Excel. The interesting thing about Google Docs and Google Sheets and even Google Slides is that they are close relations of the real thing, but many of the items that you're used to in Excel, like if you just look up here at the top bar, when you open up regular Excel, you guys know that like the options go like clear out to here. They're super, it's so functional, right? But Google Sheets is just like a shadow of what Excel is. But if you start something as a Google Sheet and you download it, remember it's going to download to an actual Google Excel document, which is really cool. Like it will actually open it up as an Excel document. And if you work on it, that's great. And then you save it and you want to upload it. Remember, it does not upload as a Google Excel document. If you try to work on it in the cloud, it will be a Google Sheet. And so some of the functionality that you've had as an Excel document, they don't transfer over as a Google Sheet. So it's just something to be aware of. One nice way of being able to kind of get around that issue is that when you share the link out to somebody, you share out the link to be able to have it as an Excel instead of a Google Sheet. So it can be something that you have to kind of like fiddle around with a little bit, but this is so much better than not having the option at all to be able to do something. PowerPoint slide is the other one that's kind of fun. And again, the biggest issue that I think that Yanni and I have faced with Google Slides is that some of the animation or the slide transitions are different. So if you've created a PowerPoint and you're uploading it to Google Drive and you've got all your animations and your timing and your slide transitions and it's just sick, it looks so good, and you upload it to Google Slides and all of a sudden it's not doing what you wanted it to do, and it's because Google Slides doesn't know how to do that. It's just the, it's just the shell of PowerPoint. So just keep that in mind and make sure that you always test it before you post it, just to make sure that it runs as nice and smooth as you want it to. Pretty cool, really.
Rebecca, I wanted to give you the 7-minute warning.
Great, thank you.
And then also, I wanted to also add that you can, if you are working, for example, on a Word document or a PowerPoint on your actual computer, and you need, let's say you're working on a group, you can actually upload that as a Word and as a PowerPoint for your group to then view. The only thing that cannot be done is obviously you cannot work on it together. So they will have to download it, make changes, and then re-upload it again to the drive for others to see. But it is possible to keep it in the same Microsoft Office format and put it in the drive.
Yes, yes. I'm just going to quickly switch out to a different headset. Hold on one second.
While we're waiting for Rebecca's transition, does anyone have any questions regarding Google Drive or the usage of any of the Google Drive tools? We have a quiet bunch today. We cannot hear you, Rebecca. Nope. There we go.
I'll try this again. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. One of the cool things I think about Google Drive is just getting in there and playing around a little bit. That's probably, honestly, the best way to learn about how to do something. It is so much more robust than just a 40-minute workshop. It has so many capabilities to it. But the things that you guys probably need to know is that use it to keep all of your schoolwork together, keep all of your coursework together. You can name a folder, just whatever the classes is that you're taking this semester. And then what I used to do is at the end of the semester, I'd make a new folder and I would let's say like with your drive here, I'd make a new folder. And if this one was called Spring 2021, and I realized I spelled that wrong, but that's okay. And I had courses inside that I wanted to put in there. I would take all of the classes that I took. If these were all different courses, I took all these courses and I would just drag them and put them inside the term, because for me that was kind of like the term is done. Now I can take all of the classes that I took: Philosophy 101, English 102, MDS 385, and here's all my classes, and I would take them and I would just drag them over to whatever term it was, fall of 2020, spring of 2021, and it still kept everything. But I think what was really nice for me is that at least it was all organized. Everything was organized. And so that was, for me, really cool. There are things that you can do, like in your email, you can create like the emails that you get from professors or important things that you wanted to remember. You can pretend to print them. If you hit print, you can make it a PDF, save it to your desktop, and then upload that email to a folder inside your Google Drive. You won't ever forget where it is, especially if it was important to the class. So that's a really nice way to do it. So I had myself as a student, I had terms, which had, if I clicked on the term folder, it would open it up and it would show, here's all the classes that I took. And then inside each of those folders were all the assignments. Now that worked out really well for me because I would remember other, like whatever future course I was taking, I was like, oh, I think I wrote a paper about that, and so I would go back and read it and then find my works cited and be like, yes, that's the quote that I need for this other class. And so that worked out really well for me. And being able to have everything organized for me just was really important, just so I could keep going and make it to the finish line. But you can keep things in there that's maybe your financial aid folder. You can keep things in about if you're thinking about going to a graduate school. So anything that you've had, you can upload or download from those folders at any time. It's pretty slick, really, but if you can think about it just as a, and I'll stop sharing here so that you can see me. I think that the really cool thing about Google Drive is it really is just a cloud file cabinet, and it has so much functionality to it of different things that you can do. Just practice. OneDrive, also same thing. OneDrive is just a big file cabinet, and that works great. When you upload OneDrive links to Blackboard, they're going to look a little bit different. And sometimes the professor will say, I'm not going to accept OneDrive, I'm only going to accept Google Drive. And it's not a big deal. Just every single student at Boise State has access to Google Drive. So if you're going to put something in your OneDrive, just make sure you download it when you're done, and you're uploading it to your Google Drive that's inside your Gmail for Boise State. That's all connected to your u.boisestate.edu address. So we have lots of students that have their own filing system at home, and we just have to say to them, when it's all said and done and you're ready to submit, download it and then upload it to Google Drive. And then it can just hang out there. But that's probably the biggest thing, is trying to figure out how to get links so that you can upload them to Blackboard, which is just you're using your right click to choose get a link, and then you can get your link that way. And then just making sure that you're linking the right document. That's probably the other thing. You definitely don't want to link out a document that's like your Christmas address list, which has happened before. So just make sure that you're checking right before you hit submit on Blackboard. Just click on your link to make sure that it's linking to the right thing. You definitely don't want the "I hate this professor" email to go out.
Rebecca, we have one question.
Yeah.
Can OneDrive on the computer, so the Microsoft OneDrive, be linked with Google?
It can't. I'm not aware of the ability to be able to do that. Here's the whole problem with OneDrive and the two not working together is that Blackboard will open in OneDrive, but if your professor does not have OneDrive ever opened, they'll have to do some configuring on their side to be able to see the document. It's not impossible, it just shows up differently. And so sometimes for a professor that maybe isn't quite as tech savvy as some of the others, it can be really frustrating for them. So if they say, this is how I want you to upload a document, just take the extra time to download and re-upload so that they can move quickly and efficiently through your assignment and have that not be an issue. It is frustrating, like sometimes we'll be grading at like 11:30 at night, and we'll come to a document and we're not able to open it, or you haven't shared it with us, or something like that, and so then we can't grade it, which causes an email to you, which causes you to panic, and and we don't want you to panic at all. So just make sure you're reading your Blackboard instructions. And this is the truth. If you ever have any questions about something not working, and even if you're not in one of our programs, Yanni and I are happy to answer any question that you have. So the help desk also is very skilled at helping with Google Drive and Google Docs and all that kind of stuff. Looks like we have one more question here. That's totally up to you if you want to keep it separate. So I have 3 different Google Drives, and I like to keep them separate. I have my personal Gmail, and I have stuff inside that. I have my student Gmail, which is my @u.Boise State, and then I have my Rebecca Morgan one @Boise State, and that's my work stuff. And I don't like to mix and meld with them. I like to keep them very separate because I never want anybody to accidentally get into something that they shouldn't, and I don't want to accidentally send something that I shouldn't. So I like to keep my life in like these little compartments. But that's just me. That's just what I like to do. So my personal Gmail. A lot of people don't realize that their calendar is in their personal Gmail account. You can just click on that little ellipsis button at the top, and you have your Gmail calendar for your own personal stuff. You've got it for your Google Drive. You can put things in there. So like for reals, my Christmas address list is on my personal Gmail account. That's where I keep it, because honestly, I can switch on my phone who I am, my personas, and I can switch it right there. If I'm at lunch with someone and say, oh, I still don't have your new address, I can put it in that way, just as easy. But I like to keep them separate myself. I never want to send something I like to unplug from work. I don't know if anybody else does, but I like to unplug from work and be like, no, I am not getting into that, because I'll end up working, as Yanni well knows, because we're both on way too late. So I like to do that. This is great. Any other questions that you have? There are a ton of tutorials out on like YouTube and stuff like that about Google Drive. So if you're still feeling like I'm not feeling all that comfortable, you can always go out to YouTube and watch their little 5-minute videos about all different things. But really, for me, like when I started working for Boise State, I didn't really know about all of the functionality of the Google Drive, and even as a student, we didn't really use it back then, and that would be 2012, by the way. So even as a student, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't really use it all that much. But when I started working here, then this is all we use. And so you really get, and you have to learn it. And then when I went on to get my master's degree, I used it exclusively for my homework. I didn't have anything anywhere else. Saving documents on your desktop can be extremely dangerous. I don't know if anyone's had their computer crash before, but it's gone. And so you definitely don't want to do that. If you put everything you're working on, does not have to be at the final edit, everything you're working on your Google Drive, you can drive over to your sister's house, you can sign into your Gmail account, and all of your homework is right there in your Google Drive. So it is a moment for you to be able to have it all up there instead of my computer just died. That could be kind of scary. So we don't want that. We want you to be nice and relaxed. Any other questions that anybody has? Anything at all?
I put in the link to the basic guide for Google in the chat. It has some basic tutorials there, but as Rebecca mentioned, there's a ton of YouTube videos out there for people that are even more experts than we are, because we're definitely still novice. I still feel like a novice, like I'm just scraping the top of Google Drive, that are incredibly helpful.
There's some really cool things out there that all of the things can do, even like the calendar function, even inside Gmail itself. Like it's so complex of the things that it can do. And so that really the best thing is just taking a little time and going through it, and then figuring out, like especially with classes starting next week, taking a look at the syllabus, and figuring out what does your expectations and then the requirements of the class, how are you going to manage that inside this Google Drive, inside this file cabinet that's now not in your physical um, office. So yeah, I think it's cool and I really like it. And Yanni and I use it like 100 times a day. So to share things back and forth. And sometimes those documents actually make it to somebody higher than us. And other times it's just a way for us to be able to brainstorm. So it's pretty cool, really. Pretty cool. And you can do that um, with your classmates, like with people in your class. You can share documents and you both can collaborate inside those documents. And really, that didn't happen 5 years ago, so it's pretty cool to be able to work on it. And you'll see their little name pop up at the top, that they're in it at the same time that you're in it. That's kind of fun as a professor, by the way, to if Thomas has uploaded a document and he's working on the next section of it, but I'm grading section 1 and he's already on section 2. It's kind of fun to see him in there. You can see him actually typing as he's typing along. And then sometimes I'll jump down and be like, "Good evening, Thomas." And it freaks people out and I love it. So it's nice because it's not often, especially in an online scenario, where you get a chance to like actually interact live with your students. So that's kind of fun. We should probably tell people we're going to do that before we actually do it. But it is fun.
Well, thank you all. We're a little bit over, but I do appreciate you all staying with us. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to either Rebecca or myself.
Yeah, let me throw my email address in there. And you'll need to grab it really quick because after the Zoom call ends, you won't be able to come back and get this particular thing. But I am Rebecca Morgan 1 at boisestate.edu. So if you have any questions at all, don't be afraid to pop in there and send us an email. We're pretty good at, if not answering the question for you, then we can find a resource that can help you. Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody have a great day.
Bye.